welcome back to 5 Minutes on Worship. This is Keith Reed. I am joined here by my spiritual nephew, Stephen Quattlebaum, and we are talking about the year of maturity of the worshiper. And in our last video, Stephen brought up a point about the prayer aspect of relationship with God, because we understand that when we talk about maturity in God, you develop maturity in God by being in relationship with God.
Yeah.
And if you serve in any type of worship arts ministry, if you do not have a relationship with God, honestly, we need to sit down till you do.
Yeah.
That's just honest, because what we do is too impactful and too important to not be in right relationship with God.
That's right.
Doesn't mean you won't stumble, doesn't mean you won't fall, but it does mean that you need to be striving toward perfection, as the word prescribes for us to do.
Yeah.
So I was telling him that in the last segment that we did, when he alluded to that, it made me think of what I call the 3 Ps. And when I think of the 3 Ps, I think of them from the perspective of building relationship with God, and also building relationship with the congregation as far as in your gifting, because all 3 of these have a certain element that is required of the worshiper and the worship leader.
Absolutely.
The first P that we mentioned is prayer. Prayer is the foundation. Prayer is our communication outlet to God, and he wants us to come raw and real.
That's right.
He says, "Come unto me, all you that are heavy laden."
Yeah.
And so we want to be real with God. Second P is praise. Praise is our response to what God has done.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, don't confuse that with worship. Worship is talking about the worth-ship that God has ascribed in our life. And so when we talk about worship, that is more than just a physical response.
Right.
That is also a matter of the heart. That's a matter of the mind. And then the last one is prophecy. Prophecy is when God has spoken to us to speak to others. And the word tells us that the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so we want to also be in right relationship, because how can you testify of Jesus if you don't know who he is?
Exactly.
So that being said, I've set a foundation, and I know we might go a little over 5 minutes again, which is okay, but I need your response. I need your response. What are your thoughts?
So, just like Keith was saying, when it comes to your prayer life, first starting with that, like he said, it's a foundation. When you have that communion with God, you're going to automatically open up yourself to everything that God wants you to have as far as your gift is concerned. And we're only just going to talk about that for the time being, because as far as your gift is concerned, your worship and your praise and your prayer is all going to drive, it's all going to come from who you know, which should be Jesus, and your closeness to him. Just like any relationship, a person is going to feed you, in a sense, depending upon the relationship. A person is going to give to you depending upon how close they are. A close friend is going to treat you closely, but an acquaintance or somebody that's just around every so often is not going to treat you that same way. So therefore, as a minister, as a worship leader, you want to get as close as possible to the one who can give you the sound, that can give you the prophecy, that can give you any type of word or song that needs to be said, needs to be delivered so that the people can be delivered. Without that closeness with God, without that relationship with God, without your heart posture being in the right place, you are not going to be effective. You may be a very gifted person, but your gift is only going to go so far when it comes to the needs of the people. Your gift is only going to move emotion. Your gift is only going to make people say, wow. And that only goes so far. You want to be effective. You should want to be effective. So, and then when it comes to your praise is going to allow others to see that they're going to want to copy that. They're going to want to ask you, they're going to want to inquire of you, hey, what do you do? What is it that you are so headstrong about or even passionate about when it comes to this particular life? When you want to make sure that you're right with God, your heart posture is right, you're always in the mind frame of worship, in and out of the church, you make people want to be that way. You make people want to emulate that, because nobody wants to feel left out, especially when it's good, especially when they're seeing the favor of God on your life. They're seeing the hand of God move through you. They are going to want to know. So you have to be in the position with God in order to make sure that people want to emulate that.
That is really good. And I'm going to piggyback on something before we end our time together. You said something about relying on the gift, and I always get reminded of the saying that a good mutual friend of ours always says, if you rely on the gift, at some point it will become a gimmick.
Yeah.
And so just keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and cut it off here. So I want to again invite any and everybody to come and join us for the 2024 New Beginning Worship Arts Conference. It is going to be on April 20th. At the end of the video, you will see our save the date flyer. And so we want you to go ahead and begin to keep that in mind. Registration will open the last weekend of January. And so we will put more information up here later in the month. But we want you to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Comment.
Definitely like and comment. We want that. We need to hear your feedback. All right, so please visit newsoundmusicgroup.org to find out more information about the conference. And you can also find out about myself and New Sound of Worship. And if Stephen has anything coming up, I'll put a link for that too. All right, so we'll see you in the next installment.